Hi everyone, welcome back to Disco Elysium. So, bit of a heartbreaking, I guess, emotional, torturous, whichever the right word is, episode last time where we had ourselves a little sleep and we went into I guess you could call it somewhat of a lucid dream, where we encountered Dora, our ex, in the form of Dolores Day. And yeah, revealed quite a few details about their relationship, some perhaps exaggerated, possibly through Harry's own ruminations and fears and doubts and self-loathing, and over however long it's been since she left. She's the image of her in his head, or the manifestation of her in his head, was quite harsh, quite cold, quite bitter, had quite a lot of contempt, so I'm guessing it was kind of caricatured in a way, but quite emotional, but also quite cold in relation to the potential aborted children, to do with her forgetting him. I think a lot of that is just the kind of fears that someone has who's been on the wrong side of the breakup, right? Oh, I didn't mean anything to them, they're going to forget about me, they hated me, things that happened didn't just happen, they were done out of spite, things like of that nature, which is, quite common, I suppose. But we've woken up now. We failed another dice roll for conceptualization. And we just need to explore the rest of the island. I'm going to try and boot up this machine last, because I feel like there might be some sort of reveal inside that little hatch. So we're going to go to the northwest side.
You see a small metal door nested inside a larger one, a heavy steel blast door. There is a conventional keyhole above the handle.
Oh.
It's very small.
What's on the other side?
Another part of the island, probably. The lock looks like it could still be usable.
How do we open it?
Maybe this is one of the doors we don't open?
He looks at the door, and then at its bigger brother, then at the lock.
He's right. It would be better to open its big brother. A powerful engine hangs under the ceiling. It must control the blast door.
Oh. You're right. We open the big one. Do you see the controls anywhere? I find us not open it highly unlikely. Sure, you're right. We don't have to open it. Yeah. The controls?
Yeah, on the console just southeast of here. Remember? Let's look around. Getting the blast door open seems like the best plan.
Okay, sweet. Let's head up here.
This old cylindrical generator waits with its fuel cap open. Makeshift electrical wiring runs out of its side and across the floor.
Let's get some fuel in there.
The lieutenant assists you, holding the canister up to the fuel tank as you tilt. Dark brown, viscous fluid pours out, and the room fills with a chemical smell. There's a red starter switch on the side of the cylinder and a start rope on the other side. The lieutenant flicks the switch.
And Harrier pulls the rope.
The recoil start wakes the old generator up. The machine sputters like an old warhorse before settling down to a rattle.
That should do it.
Sweet. Yeah. Throughout this whole thing, then we're a bit left in the dark, really, as to the identity of the shooter, right? I've been racking my brain thinking of, has there been hints that we've maybe missed? Is it someone we've already met? Is it someone staring us right in the face? Is it Kimmy? I know it's probably not. I just, trying to posit every likely theory.
A dim golden glow animates the console. Faint, like a ghost light. Urgence ouvert reads one dial key. Allumer reads another.
It's on. Turn emergency open.
Automatic boot.
Sure, let's do it.
The blast door opens with a series of clicks. A shaft of light appears, then widens as the light shines in.
I mean, my guess is that I suppose it could be the bureaucrat, right, from the moral intern.
After you.
Before outside, when we were walking across the sand, I felt someone watching me.
So did I. Not back there, but I felt it since we came here.
What if we get into another fight?
Don't worry. I have a gun.
He takes out his sidearm, checks the barrel, then holsters it again. Me too.
I know. It was not easy to acquire.
What's there?
I don't know.
Let's go. Guess we should have the gun equipped then. I'm nervous. Walk slow. Might be dangerous. Okay. Someone watching us. Get a little bit tense now. Huh. Small white flowers blossom all around you. Oh no, it's the boss arena from the end of Bloodborne. A rubber dinghy. It's deflated. Broken. Can't go over there. Oh. Hello there.
An old man, wearing tracksuit trousers, leans on the frame stock of his rifle. He gathers a big ball of spit in his mouth.
The deserter.
Then spits it out into the extinguished fire before him. He raises his black eyes, hooded by creased eyelids, to meet yours. Unclouded by cataracts, his eyesight is sharp. He's practically tearing up from spite. Hatred got the best of him a long time ago. This man hates everything.
Okay, maybe someone whose family was killed by the Oranese. Nice gun.
It's not nice. It's a piece of shit. But it gets the job done.
And what make is it exactly?
It's a 3-Angong 446.
A Samaran rifle. How did you get hold of one?
It was sent to us by our brothers in the Sinyao commune. Military aid.
He pats the rifle. So maybe he's an old communard?
It has stayed true to him. He can still make it sing.
The Sinyao commune?
You heard me. It's good now. Like chalk, white from the bull.
His gaze turns inward. Did you close the blast door?
I did. And you opened it. How?
He breathes out with a wheeze. Fuel the generator, simple as that.
I should have burned that console down.
He shakes his head. How did you know I was coming? Have you been watching us through the scope?
Reactionary rock and roll music. Playing on the water.
He gestures no.
Told you we shouldn't play sad FM.
You didn't say that, did you, Kim?
I did.
No, you didn't. It's not rock and roll, it was sad FM.
Sad FM, huh? I always hated that station. Phlegmatic, counter-revolutionary dirges. Sadness is a mental illness. A weapon of the bourgeoisie.
Yeah, this guy is an old, bitter revolutionary, right? Holding on to everything that used to be, it seems. Maybe? I don't know. I'm making a lot of assumptions here.
The fascists were right about rock and roll. It is degenerate, hip gyrating, mental illness music.
Hey. So you've retained your eyesight pretty well.
My eyesight? Yes. Helps me see all the shit.
I mean, this is a bit of a warning, I guess, as to what we could become if we don't steer our way off the path we're on at the minute, right? We become this old, jaded man full of contempt, no friends, no one to count on, just ideas lost in the wind. Are you the fire guy?
The what now? I can't hear you.
Cups his ear. Did you recently tell two kids to put out their fire, two twins?
I may have. All sorts of little rats have come sniffing around, trying to give up the position.
The position sounds like a hiding place.
Fire guy. Regressive bourgeoisie henchman. Can't even talk like a grown-up.
This guy's rubbing me the wrong way here. Your weapons stayed true to you. Mine stayed true to me too.
Yes, I bet you've killed a lot of people with it. You fascist fuck.
His eyes narrow.
Have you come to make me one of them?
His grip on the rifle tightens.
His left eye twitches. With what? Fear? Rage?
Bitterness.
We have come to ask you questions, nothing more.
The lieutenant puts his hand on his holster.
If you do not comply, we will take you in. Do you understand?
Another spitball lands in the ashes. That's all the answer he gives.
Sir, I need you to put down that gun so we can talk further. We're with the police. He's not going to like that. I'm with the police. You can keep the gun, but keep it down. Not one move. I feel like we should really say number 7 here, because that is really what you'd want, right? But he's obviously not going to agree to that. Sir, I need you to put that gun down so we can talk further. We're with the police.
The lieutenant pulls his pistol from the holster.
You are a glorified night watchman. This is a service rifle. I can only lay it down before an enemy commander of corresponding rank.
I am an enemy commander of rank. Put it down. Shit.
It's a good line, but your voice slips on Commander, producing a little squeak. Sounds like you're afraid.
A big-time operator of the pederast army. How about I keep it, huh? Hand it over to a real killer. A Briscard.
Man, we can't hit any of these coin flips checks. We have to be like 80%
The
minimum.
lieutenant aims his pistol square at the man's forehead.
Calm down, Kimmy.
Put it down now, sir.
Or you're gonna blow my brains out before you question me.
He's got a point.
To hell with it. It's a walking stick anyway.
No ammo left.
It's out of bullets.
The old man lays the rifle down, carelessly, then looks at it lying there.
Like an amputated limb in the sand.
Should we pick it up? Let's pick it up.
His gaze follows your motions. The rifle feels surprisingly light in your hand. Frame stocked and patched in places with tape and wire. Still warm from his parched hands. Not the metal. The metal is ice cold. This weapon has been modified several times.
Let's have a closer look.
The rifle's in a shabby state, like a crutch that's seen too much travel. Hieroglyphs are embossed into the forearm, made of walnut. On the butt, you see Vespertine writing, burnt into the wood. Triangon, 4.46mm, made in Sinyao.
It's as he said, it's a Triangong made in Sinyao.
No one said it has to be a Belmagrave. We were just guessing.
The lieutenant doesn't take his eyes off the old man.
From ballistics, it could easily have been a Triangon, too.
It doesn't matter if it was made in Shanti Shanti. All it has to do is use jacketed ammunition. And it does.
It does.
The right type and the right calibre.
The lieutenant nods, glancing at the gun.
He's liking this.
The rifle's been patched and modified several times.
I wonder how old it is.
The old man does not answer. He just stares in front of him.
Let's stow the gun away.
The old man keeps following your motion with his gaze. His right arm twitches suddenly. This looked very much like the murder weapon. It could be used against him to get a confession in time.
Who are you?
My name is Josef Lilianovich Dross, Political Commissar of the 114th Anti-Aircraft Division of the 4th Army of the Commune of Revachol. I am a deserter, a partisan, and a prisoner of war. This is my termless surrender.
His eyes turn to the reeds again, dead and dull.
The commune of Revachol? Do you mean the ICM? You're a holdover from the...
The lieutenant forgets to close his mouth.
From the Insular Indian Citizens Militia, the army of the revolution. I was recruited in Jamrock in '07, trained in the École de Contrôle Orient, and consigned to emergency defense duties in '08. I left my unit on the eve of the landing. When I returned here on May 14th, the commune had fallen. Still armed and ideologically trained, I wrote a criticism of myself and resumed partisan duties.
Ideologically trained. That is such a scary phrase. Right? How long have you been here?
43 years. No. I've been on other islands too.
He looks into the fire. A wisp of smoke rises from somewhere between the charred logs.
I was an resurrection until they turned it into a spa in 18. Then I was an E-48, a nameless sound, until the sea washed over it. Then I came back here. That was 22 years ago.
Wow. That is such a miserable existence. You've been hiding here for 43 years.
43 years and 10 months.
I don't even know what that is.
It's inhuman. It's sick. It's not how a human being should live, but I had to. I couldn't just forget. I couldn't just forget what I saw.
He just couldn't.
You couldn't give up.
He nods. But he can now.
What have you been doing during all this time?
Hiding, fishing, waiting.
He looks across the water.
2 police officers step out of the Whirling in Rags cafeteria. Satellite officer Jean-Vic Mayer inspects a series of burnt black letters splashed across the plaza mosaic.
And Judith?
Patrol officer Judith Minot points west. The fishing village. She glances at her watch. We meet in 15 minutes. It's a 10-minute walk. The officers go, leaving behind the writing, still smoldering. One day, it says, I will return to your side.
Always waiting.
The old man turns his eyes from the shore and back to you. Waiting for what?
For her to return.
Her?
Her who?
Girl, child, revolution.
I come from there, point to the mainland. I can assure you that is not what the people are planning. I've been there. The city is a tinderbox. It may still happen. I've seen it. Capital is too powerful. The rich are very, very well organized. Women will always betray you. Girl child nation is too strong for that. I mean, women will always betray you, as in a metaphorical sense, I think would be quite a poignant thing to say, but I don't want it to come across as it being about our ex-wife, you know? Honestly, number 2 might be true. Might give him a glimmer of hope, right? I've been there. The city is a tinderbox. It may still happen. I don't know, have we really seen much strong indications of revolution? I mean, we've got the banners, the red banners hung up all over the docks now, right? The harbour. Yeah, let's go with number 2. It may still happen.
It won't. The material base for an uprising has eroded. The working class has betrayed mankind and themselves. The historic opportunity for a revolution has passed. It will not come back anymore, however hard I try, whatever I do.
What has he done? Perhaps a confession will lighten the load.
What have you done then?
Yes, what? To get things going again? Fan the flame?
The lieutenant steps closer.
There is no flame to fan. There is nothing left of the world, of our dreams.
You said you deserted your unit.
I was just 16 years old, 15 when I volunteered. I had a lapse of faith. And of courage, too.
Lapse of faith? How?
You could say I misunderstood the historic role of the proletariat and thought Mazovian socioeconomics were fallible. For a second, I doubted the irreducible laws of historic materialism. A second is all it took.
For what?
for reaction to take hold.
I understand. Communists are natural cowards. Quantity over quality. That is a tempting answer right there. What's reaction? It wasn't reaction. You were just afraid. And when was this exactly? Reaction?
Petty bourgeois terror. It's in all men.
I mean, we can't really provoke him at this point in his life. And when was this exactly?
May the 13th, 08, 44 years ago. The horizon was black with coalition airships. Their petroleum rose to the sky, and it looked like it formed the clouds. Storm clouds. When they started shelling, it was dark magic.
Dark magic?
The combined might of international capital. All at once, all the greed and terror in the world tore into Revachol. It lifted streets from the ground and turned houses into ghosts. We were in the flak tower.
He gestures towards it.
Huddled on the floor. The artillery was 80 kilometers away in Ozon, but I knew the commune would fall. We would all be turned into ash. So I said I was going to the map room.
He looks east, and he left.
A terrible shame, still within him. The lobes of his ears are red with it. The shame and smallness of what he became.
And you didn't go there, did you?
No. I climbed the chain link across the water and hid inland, in the bunkers there, like the weakest of the weak. A mouse, frightened at the ordnance all night, and the sound of the rotors in the morning, whirring.
He looks at the sky. And what was that?
Airships. I climbed out into hell. The landing was complete. The chain was submerged. I had to swim back. The fortress was half submerged too, shattered. They'd all drowned in the lower levels or got torn to shreds above. The anti-aircraft gun had malfunctioned. So had I. I left them without ideological direction. It was real. I'd seen it. I'd seen it in reality.
Seen what?
The mask of humanity fall from capital. It has to take it off to kill everyone, everything you love. All the hope and tenderness in the world. It has to take it off just for 1 second to do the deed. And then you see it, as it strangles and beats your friends to death. The sweetest, most courageous people in the world. You see the fear and power in its eyes. Then you know.
Man, this guy's operating in such extremes here. But he's given up, right, I guess? That's the only comfort to someone who's given up, is that the forces they were dealing with were absolutes, right? And you know what?
That the bourgeois are not human.
Literally or figuratively? Let him finish.
I had to. I had to fight it. I had to never stop.
The old man falls silent. His black eyes keep piercing your skin as he looks to some great distance behind you, shaking his head slowly, retreating from it. So, this island, what is this place?
It's not an island, Dwat. It's a defensive fortification of the commune of Revachol. And I am its last surviving defender.
I mean, we can understand what it was used for, but let's ask.
The congenitally deformed King Philip II built it to restrict access to the Bay of Revachol. We captured it in '02, retrofitted the fort with an AA gun to defend against an airborne landing. Against the whole world.
The retaking of Revachol.
Coalition military called it Operation Deathblow. I later found out on the radio they called it Deathblow. You're one of them. Tell me, who speaks like that? We had 50 million people on Caillou alone.
Murderers, yeah, I know what you mean.
You don't know. You haven't seen it. Iblis,
Iblis.
the black-eyed angel.
He nods. How have you been surviving all this time?
How does anyone survive? I steal.
He looks at his worn running shoes.
Now hold on there.
That's a choice. You could have become self-employed, create the system.
You're insane and grotesque. Everyone steals. Vegetables, supplies. It's the life of a dog.
He coughs once more, then puts his hand on his belly.
How is your health, Mr. Dross?
I've been throwing up blood since winter. Red, like beetroot. Been passing it in stool, too.
He does seem frail. Gaunt for his age. More like 75 than 65. Trouble putting on weight could mean cancer.
The RCM can provide medical services. You need to be looked over.
I need to die. You don't have medical facilities. You have guns. That's all they give you. Toy guns.
We have Dramamine and other opiate-based painkillers. You must be in pain. You won't want them. This is a serious situation. You need to be looked over and we can do it. How have you been coping mentally?
I haven't. I have holes in my brain. Years missing. Others filled with pain only. A decade of...
His eyes roll into his skull and back.
I don't even know what. Inferno?
Go ahead, Kimmy.
I would imagine it gets tremendously difficult, mentally, to live in isolation.
Traitors. It's better alone. I watch the people of this city turn the lights back on, more and more each year. Ruins, glimmering in the dark, like a fucking merry-go-round.
What do you expect them to do?
It's disgusting.
He looks down at his shoes, his face parched from the sun and the wind. There's a wince of pain in there somewhere.
Are they not heartbroken? How could they have moved on?
How have you stayed hidden?
It was hard in the Thames. I didn't have partisan training. They were searching for stragglers, those bloodhounds. Floodlights on the water at night.
There were posters, campaigns.
We communards still hoped, and they needed to snuff that hope out. The East capitulated. Martinez and Cold City were turned to dust. But Jamrock, Forburg, even Coron, and Boogie Street, of course. Those fucking kips had Marsov coursing through their veins. And others too. Some cordons of Revachol were still fighting. There were cells. I tried to contact them. Soon they all went silent. The frequency's dead.
How did you get between here and the mainland?
At night, I used a dinghy. I only went after dark then. When I got to the city, I stayed underground. Patrols, you lot, the commons too. They'd started snitching.
In the city, you move underground?
From bunker to bunker. Not anymore. No one cares now. I don't even have to hide. They think I'm another antisocial vagrant. I could walk straight into that town if I wanted.
He falls silent, his gaze fixed on the shacks huddled together across the water. The weapons cache under Songy's Lane 22B. In the basement, have you been there?
So you finally found it. There must have been a small squadron's worth of arms in there. Elmer Graves, right?
He looks at you, then pulls the raincoat tighter around his neck. They were damaged beyond use.
I know.
So you've been there?
Sleeping. Some nights. Ammo scrounging on others. Those McGraves were shit, even before they corroded. Some had bullets in the chamber, however.
You feel the dots connecting. Little dots on the map he's walked across. Wait, how did he get down there?
How did you access the building? It's locked, at least now it is.
I didn't have to. Came in through the storm drains.
Storm drains?
There used to be a system that connected the bunkers, tunnels and such, under the church and everywhere. Most of them are gone now, collapsed, just bricks. All the old infrastructure has...
So that might have been his little room in the Feld building with all the communist stuff in there. Have you stayed under the Feld building?
The propaganda bunker. I used to, but not anymore.
Propaganda bunker?
They stored leaflets there. Broadcasting equipment, too. Made broadcasts, I think. Propaganda officers. I buried them with their leaflets. They killed themselves. 2 young boys.
Who were they?
A lot of our boys did. I spent some winters there. Never liked it. Kept thinking of them. No need to go underground anymore. It's better in the ruins, on the ground.
So why don't you just walk into Jamrock or wherever else?
I don't want to. They're all traitors. Pigs, rabbits, and dogs. Men without ideals are only animals.
He does not want to see life moving on. People forgetting, drinking, laughing.
Men without ideals are only animals. Not sure I agree with that, buddy. One more question. Do you smoke two Montieri cigarettes?
I do.
On the mainland?
They're good. Plenty of tar. I like that boy on the pack, too. Reminds me of the last century.
Something else.
The old man looks across the water, at the city, the ruins, the motorways rising above it.
You said this is your termless surrender.
You're with the RCM, the coalition-appointed mob that enforces bourgeois morals in Revachol.
We're not coalition appointed, we just try to help people. That's right, we're with the good guys. We enforce the law, we keep these animals from killing each other. I know what it looks like. I have secret plans to turn the RCM into a Mazovian revolutionary unit. He's just going to throw everything back in our face. Whatever we say, if it leans any way. We're with the RCM, buddy. Let's leave it at that.
Let's. You represent the Moralist International, the enemies of humanity who took this city. I represent their adversary, the Parti Communiste dans le monde.
Buddy, you represent nothing, buddy.
Take me to them as a prisoner of war. I have relinquished my weapon. I can no longer serve. No superiors can relieve me of my duty. You bulldoze them all to a mass grave for trying to free humanity.
A spray of blood from his mouth on the black charcoal in the fire pit.
Yeah, maybe he's got a bomb strapped to him he wants to be taken in. So you're a communist soldier from the communist army.
No, I am not a soldier. I am an ideological officer. I belong to the party, not the army.
An officer of delusion, right. You said you were trained and assigned to the Defense Corps. I suppose if it was war, everyone had to fight.
Trained in historical materialism, then assigned as a political commissar by the party. These things used to mean something.
And what exactly does that position entail?
The old man does not answer. He tilts his silver head and looks at the reeds. You see a small tremor pass through his legs.
His job was to assure the army answers to civilian control and follows the ideology of the commune.
The lieutenant says softly, yeah, that doesn't sound tyrannical at all, does it? Making sure civilians follow the right ideology.
Scientific communism. A commissaire politique is a knight philosopher of the revolution, a future human.
Oh, Jesus.
Awakened from shutdown by the promise of ideology, he was like a cleric, a shepherd.
So you're like a priest?
No, the
No.
opposite of that.
No, you're exactly like
A
that.
future human, not a human of the
No,
past.
no, you were exactly like a priest. You're someone peddling delusion and lies. Not lies, but you. Yeah. Sorry, I don't want to sound too scathing. But that's what that is, right? Door-to-door delusion, you know? So you're a trained communist.
He nods slowly, then another tremor.
I'm a nationalist, by the way. I'm a moralist. I'm a revolutionary too. Today, the real revolutionizing is done by entrepreneurs. I'm not really into politics. Let's annoy him. I'm a moralist.
No, you're not. You're part of the meat shield. The human shield that surrounds the fascists while they kill and rape. That's what you are.
Sure.
Detective, we have not come here to discuss ideology.
The lieutenant gives you a stern look.
We have come to ask questions
Yeah, I
regarding
know.
a murder investigation.
Okay, Kimmy.
The old man spits into the fire pit. He does not say anything more. A jitter passes his lower body. The expression on his face is unreadable. There's some sort of interference there. Neurological?
Got some other questions, buddy?
There's nothing serious in this world. It's a farce.
What have you been using this gun for?
I've used it for killing people.
Killing people?
It's a gun. That's what they're for. You want a moralist euphemism? Defending your family and your property.
Fair enough.
I haven't done that. I've used it to kill people.
Interesting. During or after the war?
There is no after the war.
Yeah.
Class war is never over.
He shakes his head and smiles, his teeth rotten black.
This is it. You can feel it, like battery acid on the tip of your tongue. Something you haven't felt in a while. But
What?
this is what you live for. This is the shit. Go in straight. No euphemisms. He doesn't like those.
Okay.
No. Be careful now.
Oh,
Slow and steady does it. Make him repeat it first. Don't mess this up. Remember, he wants to tell you. Get personal.
wait, which one do I say then? Okay. I know you want to tell me, have you killed anyone with that gun in the last week or two? Did you use that gun to shoot and kill a colonel of the security contractor Cronell? So you're saying you've killed people after active fighting stopped? Going straight, no euphemisms, he doesn't like those. No, be careful, slow and steady does it. Make him repeat it first. Don't mess this up, remember, he wants to tell you. Get personal. Maybe it won't matter. Yeah, I don't like the first one. I'm just not sure between 2 or 3. I think we should be direct. He's got nothing to lose. He's dying anyway. I don't think he's going to object to telling us. Did you use that gun to shoot and kill a colonel of the security contractor Crenell?
The who now?
He leans in and cups his ear.
He heard you. He just wants to hear you say it again. This is dramatic flair on his part. Right choice. We're in. Do it, sire.
The fascist death squad who took a bullet in the mouth on the night of March 4. His name was Lely. He was part of a security detail here in Martinez. A beautiful, strong man sent here by the Honourable Private Military Company Crenell. The corpse in ceramic armour hanging behind the wailing in rags. Did you shoot him?
Oh, yes. That one. Ugly piece of work, that boy.
He looks up at the sky and clacks his tongue.
Did you kill him?
The lieutenant takes a sudden step toward him.
I am a son of a welder and an officer of the commune of Revachol. I do not collaborate with murderers and pederasts of the liberal regime.
The gun. The murder weapon is the perfect opener. The scent of blood in the air. But what else? There was something you can't remember. Something about the tracks. Suddenly, all those tracks are so confusing. Go with something else first.
The murder weapon's the perfect opener. Come on, what am I forgetting? Hit yourself in the side of the head. I don't need your cooperation. I've got the gun.
Not a lot of guns around that use military-grade ammunition, are there?
It's a real gun. Not like your little musketeer pistol. I've seen you prance around with that, jumping hoops for the liberals. You look like imbeciles. Why don't you ask them to give you real weapons, eh? Going against automatic rifles with a flame bomb. Of course you got all those boys killed.
Don't disrespect Bratan like that. He made an important sacrifice for us.
Damn, he saw you. He's watched it happen. He would have a good view of the tribunal from here. It's not just empty boasting. So he saw you. Okay. So what? Don't let it divert you.
We saved a lot of them. Their leader Titus, we handled that situation. Stop changing the subject. We have the murder weapon.
You know what? You're right. I'm convinced this made the shot. Should we call it?
The lieutenant looks at the weapon demonstratively. Dramatically asks, you think we have the murder weapon? I'm calling it. We have the murder weapon. I'm calling it. We have the murder weapon.
Good.
The lieutenant takes out his notebook and draws a single line.
This feels good, doesn't it? Tearing things up like this. When you have the murder weapon, you have the killer.
Murder.
The old man doesn't say more. He just glances into the reeds and then twitches once more.
This pushed him, but not enough. Just a little more.
We've done the ballistics. The shot came from this island.
I saw you poking around there, looking for evidence. You're damn diligent when it comes to dead fascies. Did you like the view?
The jitter passes through him.
You had direct visibility. There are embrasures in the concrete, specifically meant for a top follower to use. And you had a long-range rifle in your possession.
The lieutenant softens his voice.
You've been here a long time, Mr. Dross. Too long. You clearly need medical aid.
I'm ready to die. I've done my part.
He's practically admitting to it. Just one thing. The rifle does not have a scope.
One thing, where's the scope? How did you make the shot without a scope? We have everything else. It's the best uninterrupted line of sight into that window in all of Martinez. The view is perfect. With a pair of binoculars, I could have seen in the room. Where's the scope?
Forget about your stupid fucking scope. I don't know where it is. Find it yourself. It's your problem now.
All right, buddy.
He lost it. He just doesn't know where it is. Forget it. Push on.
It's the best uninterrupted line of sight into that window in all of Martinez.
Because it's a sniper's nest, you stupid fuck. Radio Gosh is right. You have worms in your brain.
Another sudden twitch, then one more in his right eye.
Almost. He almost burst out there. Keep piling arguments. Anything.
What am I forgetting?
Wait, here it comes. The goddamn Maybells. The dried Maybells on Clausia's roof.
Oh, yes.
There were Maybells in the grass when you got here. They're revolutionary symbols from the war. Nowhere else, nowhere in all of Martinez have you seen them this spring. Wait, don't forget the footprints. The diagonal prints in the dust in the secret space behind Clausia's bedroom. Now they're gonna come up.
Okay. Of course. Thank you, Head.
You got it. Remember, the boot prints were like no modern soul.
There were Maybells behind the victim's window.
Damn Maybells. The whole island is turning white with them.
He looks at the blossoming field behind you.
He seems tender suddenly, nostalgic even. A strange mood swing.
So many this year, too. The spring is coming. No, it's already here. Wash the filth away.
I haven't seen these flowers anywhere else in Martinez, only here.
They blossom on the islets before. We fertilize them with our blood. Resurrection was snow white in May, before they ruined it. The coast, too, before they piled their containers on top of it, filled with broken, useless trash for fat-fingered bourgeois children to play with.
You must get around a lot to stay undetected all these years. Do you know any secret paths? Pinball workshops?
Oh, the lieutenant's voice is soft, friendly.
I may.
Curious tremor passes his face. A young woman called Clashy ring any bells? These dried flowers were behind her window.
Classier.
He repeats the name with care, as if it were at risk of breaking.
You like that name, don't you? She had intimate relations with the victim, the mercenary.
With the victim.
He turns his sight from the whitening field of flowers and falls silent, then the muscles in his jaw twitch, a spasm.
There is a small tremble, looks like a smile, a crooked smile, yet isn't quite voluntary. He's about to burst.
I wonder what boots you're wearing.
Everything is brands with you individualists. Who cares what brand my shoes are? Sansa? Some shit.
He looks at those running shoes covered in mud.
Show me the soles, please, Mr. Dross.
Fucking imbecile.
The old man stretches out his leg. A black and white spiral pattern covers the soles of the worn-out old running shoes on his feet.
The maker is called Sansarique, and the size is 42 to 44. These are not the unusual horizontal pattern soles you saw in the dust on the floor of the hidden room. They do, however, seem to be about the same size.
The size fits, but not the sole.
The lieutenant comes to the same conclusion. Wait, maybe it's simpler than that. Sure, 83.
Sire, he doesn't have to be wearing them right now.
People change shoes. It doesn't mean you weren't there, near the room the victim died in, sneaking around.
Racking those brains, are you? Desperate to report something back to your masters? They must have really loved that dead fuck.
He squints at you, black pearls gleaming with hatred.
The lieutenant gives you a quick sideways glance and nods to acknowledge. The prints were his. You can see it in those eyes. He can't keep them from flickering, looking for something. The old man stares at his own prints in the ash around the fire. Silent suddenly, some strange process within him. A gush of wind. Seagulls in the distance.
You know who he was. A coalition-trained murderer, armored and armed. He wasn't human. The blunt end of a hammer, dripping with blood.
He was a rapist. I'm not saying he didn't deserve it. He was a killer, but he was still under the protection of the law. He was a soldier too. He was a man.
Beating us to the ground, moaning with joy. You hounds get so thorough when a company-trained killer dies. I haven't seen you on this coast for 40 years. You know, maybe I should have killed one sooner.
I guess that is one of the problems of ideological subscription, right? Is that you forget that people are people. Right? You just see them as a label, a group.
Got your attention. Now you stop beating druggies and prostitutes in your basement. Now you come to investigate. Not when they die by the hundreds.
He breathes through flared nostrils. So you did kill him?
Oh, the inhumanity. One paramilitary less in Revachol.
You can almost see him squeeze a tear out of his eye. His fists begin to tremble from the anger.
The lieutenant raises his right arm to hush you. Hush. He does not need to be pushed anymore. The ball is rolling, while the lieutenant listens, holding his breath.
Hold our breath too.
I had them in my sights. Both of them. Him and the whore. I was breathing with them, in phase, and I pulled the trigger and flew on the air until I landed in his mouth.
He begins to smile.
I didn't think I had a shot like that in me anymore. I did. I saw him kneel there with his mouth full of death, and that stupid look on his face. And his dick still in her.
The smile quivers. Then what?
Nothing. I went to sleep. Next morning there were Maybells everywhere. The world was white, or what's left of it anyway. My last spring here. I knew the fascists would come to avenge their own. And so they did.
Sure thing.
Mr. Dross, are you aware you're confessing to murder?
The lieutenant asks after a second of silence.
Yes.
A single word is all he gives.
And you were looking at Dan, the victim and a young woman, having sex through the scope of your rifle that night, before you shot him?
The lieutenant takes out his notebook slowly, very slowly.
The old man nods.
Why?
Because that's what they were doing.
He shrugs, then smacks his lips.
I don't understand. Do you, detective? I don't understand this part.
Why were you looking at them that night?
I'm always looking.
He cocks his head to the side, then turns his eyes to the city. Another tremor passes his right side, lower in intensity.
Are you always looking through the scope of a rifle? I'm just trying to understand.
A rifle scope has the best magnification.
And if you don't like it?
Click.
He pulled the trigger.
Yes. Think of it as a form of critique.
He looks you in the eye.
Start with when he first saw him. It will give him a chance to ramble.
When did you first see Lily?
3 weeks ago, when the rich hag came in on her galley. Her honor guard came in tow.
Joyce Messier, the Wild Pines, let's not mention her name, the rich hag.
Wrinkled up whore.
Whore, good strong word, I use it myself. What is it with these whores and pederasts? Aren't you a communist? Yeah.
Lack sexual morals are a bourgeois ploy.
Okay.
As to pederasty, the party legalized it in '04. My party, not your liberal masters. So don't you sermonize me, you racist shithole. It's still bourgeois when the bourgeois does it, fiddling with their sexual organs.
Moving on, the victim arrives sometime after her.
They moved into a deserted apartment above the roundabout. Radio equipment out for all to see. Reactionary radio playing, sloppy and drunk. I've seen their kind during the landing. Those Occidental and Mesk phalangs weren't conscripts. Boys like us. They were whites. All they know is to destroy and hurt.
Whites?
Barely alive. They like to kill while they're on their drugs. After the landing, in the burning years, I would take shots at them. End them. The worst ones, if I had a bullet to spare. I could see they've returned now to show their real face. The face they don't dare show their bourgeois voters back on Mundi with their families and polyester clothes.
So, that just reminded me of there's a monster in the Witcher universe called a White, spelt that way. That's a monster, lives in a cave. So what specifically did you not like about what you saw the night of the murder?
Them fucking. I didn't like that.
He looks at the charwood, he wasn't jealous, but so you were jealous.
Jealousy is a reactionary concept. I didn't like the Reaver enjoying himself, drugged out, soothed in the arms of a young woman. I wanted him to die so he could not enjoy life anymore. And I wanted to see his head explode. That too. She should know better than to hold a child murderer between her thighs. I knew he'd be there for one more second, writhing. That's all it takes for the bullet to reach his head. Now that I think of it, I wasn't aiming for his mouth. I wanted his brains to spill out on her. But you can't have everything.
God, this guy is just a creature of contempt, right? I'm not saying Lely was a good guy or anything.
This man has seen past her, like you did.
But he's still a person, right? Who's done nothing personally to this guy. We know what he's done. But Mr. Droll hasn't. Right?
And now he longs to see her covered in blood. To punish her.
How long have you been watching her?
Since she came to Martinez. I saw her sneaking in the reeds early in the morning, behind the Fell building. It was dark, still winter. She didn't have her skimpy outfit on then, just a spot in the night, moving.
Past the Fell building on the coast? What was she doing there?
The boy.
Hiding something in the water. She had a fag after she'd done it. I was up in the ruins there. She couldn't see me, but I could see her. smoking. She was nervous, but not scared.
What do you think she hid?
Her passport
Yeah, we knew
and
this.
tickets to Villiers. And from there to Cachet
Oh, so you stole all their stuff? That's the hidden voice she told us about. You went inside it?
After she was gone.
He nods.
Did you keep what was in it? When we found the submersible, it was empty.
No. Why would I do that? I didn't need tickets to Villiers. I put them back. If I wanted to extort someone, I'd do better.
Are you sure? We did check it. There was nothing in it.
Why would I need that trash? I'm not going to Villiers.
You could have sold it all.
There it is again. The strange neurological state he's sometimes in.
All right, moving on.
I did. She had a face like an archipelago, with those birthmarks, and a body hard and lean and bruised all over, black and yellow. I could see she's taken a beating. I could see who she was, too. A spook, on the run. Revachol's the cloaca of capital now. All the bagmen and arms dealers end up here to do drugs and have sex like animals.
You could tell she was a spook? From the documents?
She had different color hair on the photo, and glasses. Forged. Some sordid bourgeois affair. I've heard about this kind of thing on the radio.
He's setting it up for you. The bruises. You can't make that out in a scope.
And you could see her bruises through the scope of a rifle, could you?
You can't see bruises through a scope. It's just a blur.
How does he know those minute details about her body? Yeah, because he spied on her through the peephole.
He must have
What?
climbed to the roof, maybe.
Oh, come on, dude. Oh, don't do that in like a really important conversation on a 92. Oh, do one, man. Oh, that's so annoying. I only needed one more. Oh, God. I could have added a point to that as well. I could have added a point. I got 2 fucking skill points. I could have added one, man. Ah, why would you do that to me there, man? How many, like, 50-50 kind of checks have we missed? Oh, I've messed up the camera now, haven't I? Oh, damn it. How did you get close enough to see her bruises?
I have my ways.
Oh, for fuck's sake. A cracked smile appears on his dried white lips.
You've been through the secret route behind the whirling in rags. Those were your footprints. You just changed your shoes.
I've been through all of Martinez. Every nook and cranny.
Thank God, the lieutenant is picking it up.
But that Nook too?
The lieutenant doesn't let you finish.
Yes, that too.
Oh, fair enough.
The things they did in that little room. What she'd do to feel good. Funny the way light works. You turn it on inside, and it gets so dark out, you can't see a man looking in. I learned that in the 20s, when they were still hunting me. I've seen people do some shit, but...
He keeps shaking his head.
You hear the familiar scribble of the lieutenant's pen. A quick glance at you. One more loose end down. We're doing this, detective.
How did you get in there? The hidden pinball workshop.
I can just walk in there now after a good wash. I told you, they think I'm an antisocial. Closing hour is a good time. The kitchen's empty.
You had to open the steel door in the kitchen? How?
I got that open a long time ago. Some bourgeois game merchant lived there. I don't know, 15 years ago. He left spare keys all over, and I took one. Then I saw her turn the light on one night in my scope.
Sorry for shouting, guys. That when you miss a high check, like I've been relentlessly missing. Sorry. Okay, so maybe we found his set of keys. Maybe there was more than one set of keys. He points towards the whirling in rags.
Andy found use for it. A spare key, like the one hanging behind the Union box window.
You wanted to punish her, so you killed him.
She practically breastfed that man. You wouldn't believe the things she let him do to her.
He shakes his head and stares at the ashes.
You stare at them too. In your mind, her innocence day still turns to leaf. Airport bag in hand, silks flowing in her wake.
The dream.
See you tomorrow, Harry. Her voice rings in the evening air, burning.
She did deserve a good punishing. I hate women too. You saw through her, so did I. Yeah, men are insane. Men are insane.
The world is insane.
He raises his gaze. Sorry that this is blocking him off. The camera angle's changed. I don't think I can change it. You had feelings for her?
There's nothing to hold on to. Only this. It's not enough.
The coals of his eyes glisten suddenly, like stones dripping with water. Is he crying?
Man needs to feel something else. In this fight, it helps if you have your eye on something there. It's weakness, I know.
There've been others. Was that why you left the dried flowers behind her window? So you become infatuated with other people, other women?
Yes, over the years. It's not unproletarian to feel something.
So you left the flowers?
No.
He starts to shake his head again. There's some flower on a withered stalk. Why then?
I don't really know. I was there one night and she was crying, like a child, in the corner of our room on the floor, like she does sometimes.
When was this?
The day after I killed him.
And you brought her Maybells.
Yes. I don't know why I do the things I do anymore.
To console her?
Maybe. I told you, I have holes in my brain now. I wouldn't just sit here waiting for you.
He lowers his head and just stares at the logs.
If you came 10 years ago, I would have killed you.
He wipes his eye.
In the silence, the lieutenant draws a line in his notes, then nods at you once more. One more down.
So in conclusion, it wasn't about him. It was about her.
Her.
He repeats, staring at the ashes, and then reads, and then the reads. There's a twitch in the corner of his eye. Maybe if we'd arrested her, he'd be showing us a bit more contempt, perhaps, than he already is.
The lieutenant nods at you in acknowledgement. That's it. Motive. We have it.
Where is she, that Clasier? I haven't seen her there for days.
She got away, we don't know where she is. She got away, but she led us here first. She figured out someone was watching her from the seafort. I'm not at liberty to say, my friend.
I know she's gone. Locked up, or on the run. She kept staring into the scope, you know. In the end, this last week, at the fort, like she knew. Like she knew I was here. It doesn't matter.
He adds, to no one in particular.
Across the water, on a dilapidated jetty in a nameless village, made of grey cinder block houses with Eternite roofs, 2 police officers and 1 special consultant look across a narrow strip of sea. He's there, doing what exactly, I don't know. Satellite Officer Vic Mayer points at the ruins. Behind that anti-aircraft something. That's why we can't see him. Special Consultant Heidelstein is optimistic. We'll see the boat when he comes. Let's go get a coffee until then. I know this interesting little place. Where? His voice trails off as the 3 walk down the jetty.
Okay, so they know where we are.
As the men go, Patrol Officer Minnow looks back over her shoulder at the crumbling fortification in the snowfall, like a rotten tooth rising out of the water. Good luck, Harry, she thinks. You need something good for this.
We could get more. We've got him talking.
The lieutenant uses the opportunity to tell you in a lowered voice.
You could get more out of him. He likes talking.
Josef Lilianovich Dross, you're under arrest for the murder of the colonel here in Martinez. Been looking at anything else you haven't liked?
A tragic comedy.
He shakes
Drugs,
to life.
Prostitutes and rentiers.
A strange little engine seems to fire up in him again. It straightens his back.
More specifically?
Specifically, the whole city is a charnel house. Stripped clean and draped in neon. But Martinez is the worst.
Why?
Because of the racists. Everyone is a racist in Martinez. It's their favorite thing to do in the whole world. Listening to race-themed radio shows. In the ruins, in their lorries.
He points inland. I mean, there have been a lot of people like that, right? Gary, the lorry driver, Measurehead.
Pumped full of steroids and radio Revachol 92. Race this, race that. It's all sanctioned by that Social Democratic Union and the farce of a Social Democrat who runs it.
Everett.
Yes, the fly larva in his container. He let some nihilistic advertising yuppies erect a statue of Philippe III, a syphilitic murderer, on the town square, to spit on the working class.
Let's let him carry on, don't interrupt.
Not since the serfs of ancient Pericarnassus has history produced a more inert social class than the Martinez proletariat. The rest of Revachol at least pretends to rebuild. These people still live in ruins. In tents, like animals, like those boom-boom morons on the ice. A pity they didn't drown in that tent of theirs.
He keeps shaking his head with the sorrow for the sight he missed. Is that all?
The worst of them is the blood-drenched Sucrion on her yacht, licking her lips. The old whore's gone now. Her gun-toting porcelain men are dead. So, actually, no. The worst is that old cop parading around in his uniform, throwing balls all day. It's not enough that the racists and liberals are dancing on our graves. The old loyalist ghouls still parade the ruins too.
Don't talk about Renee like that.
Every morning he's there, while the parasites he fought to protect are off in Ozon, or Quayamoran, or some other island they built their palaces on, feeding on drugs and having sex with their own children. That's all the rich really want. Sex with their own children. Throughout history, even the royal bloodline of the suzerain, it's all just an excuse for them to have sordid sex. At least that old cunt Frisell is now dead.
Let's just nod. I don't want to ask questions.
We did good when we pushed him under that horse car. If only, in the 30s, those disco whores.
What follows is ominous mumbling. You can't make out a single word.
The disco whores are too much. Hatred shuts down his brain's language center, leaving only a nonsensical sputter. Boom boom morons on thin ice, going under. Those are the tent kids.
Yeah, we don't need to ask about them. Disco whores. You mentioned the Union and Everett.
Another hideous disappointment. Unions are the real enemy. The true enemy of the proletariat. Placating the masses.
So Everett's the disappointment.
That deformed toad? I wouldn't expect him to wipe his own ass. I mean, the brains of the operation. The smart one.
His brother.
Edgar.
His brother.
He talks a big game about uprising and social base. They must have sent the smart one to some university in Le Jardin, where it's alienation this and hegemony that.
He's been sweet-talked by this Edgar. They must have met in person for such animosity to have developed.
We're not the first people you've met from the city, are we?
You can't live alone.
He stops poking at the ash now, just shakes his head.
The Clares wouldn't miss a man hidden in their own backyard. Not all this time. Nothing happens in Martinez without them knowing.
Don't go straight for the kill. Exhaust everything else first. Soften him up.
Have you approached them?
I haven't approached anyone. I hid. It was Edgar who came to me.
How did he know you were here?
He didn't just stumble in like an oaf. He figured it out. Some kids told him about a monster on the island. I told you, he has brains.
Right, he points to the path leading to the tower. Right, Edgar.
Stepped right off the boat and walked down where you came. I even kept the door open for him. Thought he was a man of the left. Wouldn't rat me out. I was right about one of those things.
And when was this?
20 years ago. Neither of them could walk now, could they? They were less fat then.
And what did you talk about?
Edgar did the talking. Paid his respects like I were a fossil in a uniform. Offered platitudes about the struggle. Flaunted his pink degree. Even quoted Marzov. Never trust a social democrat who quotes Marzov. Oh, and charity too. They love their charity. Offered me blankets and social housing. I still have the gas cooker he brought.
And he just let you stay here?
Let me be here. The ZOC is an unlawful successor of the commune of Revachol. We took this fortification from the Loyalists.
Yes.
Even the Clares understand this.
Did you kill Lely for them to incite a riot?
You know why I killed that fucker, Dwat. As to Edgar, I'm not doing anything for that swine again.
Again?
Again? What have you done for Edgar before?
Tried teaching him some Marzovian socioeconomics. They didn't stick. We parted ways.
Damn it, man. We've got points though, right? Disco Horse?
Horse.
Is all he says. Even that word has to be pushed through his teeth with great force. The rage seethes too hard. Yeah, the druggies on the ice.
They were boom imbeciles. At least they're not there anymore. What more is there to say? They're duped by bourgeois culture. I've seen their kind pop up, like worms after the rain.
By the cock parading in his colourful uniform, you mean Renee?
Every fucking morning for 34 years. Throwing that ball. One ball against the other. I've always loathed that game. That is not a working class game. I don't care what they say on Radio June.
And what is a working class game then, buddy?
Royalist ghouls played like it was life itself. Click, clack across the water each day. And that uniform, like a parrot plumage. I won't even mention that he's a traitor to his race. A Patank maniac race traitor.
Let's just keep him going. Nod.
I remember him. I remember him from La Noce. Not him, personally. His make and model. There were tens of thousands of them. I thought we took them all out before the liberals came to their rescue. We missed one.
His make and model. Like you're not following, and all your co-conspirators weren't following the same ideology. You're a make and model as well, buddy.
That one.
With his shaky finger, he points to the city, toward the crater near the plaza where a lonely pine tree stands.
There doesn't seem to be a single person under the pine today. Not even Gaston. Alone.
There's no one there.
Fat and plump. Like a pheasant. Just begging to be popped off. Please, Mr. Truss. Shoot me.
He doesn't hear you. The grin stretches across his face and he says very softly, "You want to kill Gaston?"
Not yet. I like to look at him strut around.
He's already dead,
Place
buddy.
the crosshair on his medals, right on his face, and just fiddle the trigger. Think about it. Let the bomb melt in my mouth.
You know, like, the things that Rene stood for aren't necessarily any better than what he's talking about standing for, but at least Rene had a humanity to him, right? We learnt about the romance between him and Jeannie, the triangle with him and Gaston, the friendship him and Gaston, even though they were a bit prickly towards each other, right? In spite of whatever he thinks about the politics, about the situation here, he still lived for his friends and his loved ones, right? This guy can't really say that.
Save the treat for later.
The lieutenant asks cheerfully.
He is a juicy bonbon, that one. A real treat for the black day. The blackest. When I put that gun in my own mouth, I think, no, don't waste it. Put this lead in that cock, Rene. For the boys he killed. And then I look at him throw those balls, and I suddenly feel
He lets out a wistful sigh.
better. I even hid one bullet, so I'd always have one. For him. Haven't seen him around lately, strutting around. Must be down with arthritis. I hope it hurts like hell. I hope he sweats blood.
Hearing it may destabilize him. You sure you've gotten everything from him?
He's dead. Died of old age a couple of days ago. This'll annoy him because he died a somewhat peaceful death.
No,
Yep.
I waited too long. I waited too long and now he's dead?
The old communard looks at you, his blackberry eyes shaking in disbelief.
I'm sorry, Mr. Dross. I understand you knew him for a long time.
Kimmy, really?
They're all dead now. Fuck it.
Didn't care about him. You alright?
You think I haven't seen people die? It's all I've seen them do. Fuck and die. All the other plans we had. To love. To colonize the Pale. It's all fucked.
You wanted to colonize the Pale.
He's not okay. This is just another black day in a row of black days. Something strange is keeping him together, making him endure.
I feel like we could maybe come back to this.
Glad
Now.
we talked about what?
That's it for now.
I ain't going anywhere.
Right. Right, let's just buff our logic quickly. We've got the logic shirt on, but these glasses take away from it, so... There we go. And the hat. Because this is quite an important check, I feel. So then that should be logic plus 4. Yeah. And I don't think there's anything else, but as is tradition, I'm going to check. Oh! Got a logic coat. completely forgot about that jacket. Kingdom of Conscience. So, will this just raise the learning curve? Yep. And I can stick a point in it as well.
These are some wonderfully regular
Oh.
pants. Not too tight, not too loose, moderate in every sense. You'll blend right in at some pleasant dinner party.
I like regular things.
I know you do. These inter-Isolari pants are like wearing a perfect compromise in your nether regions. No one will call the moral intern on you like this. That's for sure.
Awesome.
You're a little more moralist now, buddy.
Sweet.
A little more normal, even if you didn't want to be. Makes sense. This is what wearing boring office trousers does to you.
Yep. Alright, let's hit that check.
The old man stares despondently at the logs. It's like he's forgotten you're there.
The people.
His lip curls into a sneer at the memory.
So I've got 2 points left, and I can put one in composure. I could put another one in logic, because I really don't want to miss another bloody high roll. But there might be another check later down the line. So I'm just going to go for the 83. Just... game, just don't. Just don't. Stop it. What was the deal between him and Edgar?
The connection comes to you like a splash of cold water. Dark, cold water.
20 years ago, when you met Edgar, the Clares didn't run the Union yet, did they? The sputter from the old man.
He acknowledges it. Here we go. A twist behind the dark bend.
Who did?
That bourgeois cow. Tiffin Holly was her name. Licked the rich man's hand every time he came to town. Never seen a labor leader so hot on mutual cooperation. And money. She liked that too. That Holly was a real bridge builder and a deal maker.
His eyes glistened suddenly with hatred. She was also a woman, wasn't she? Like Clashy.
She was. And she was real soft on those money men. Had a Barbara Muskova bag over her shoulder that she liked to bring to work.
And then she just disappeared, right?
Called in, they say. On the eve of battle. Ran away. Vanished like a piss stain.
He squints and smiles at the black logs.
No, that's not quite it, is it?
You killed her.
Did she? They say her daughter called in, not her personally. But that wasn't really her daughter, was it?
No, I guess it was not.
You could swear you see the embers glow again under his eyes on the dust. Edgar had someone make the call. Why is that, Mr. Dross?
She couldn't make the call herself.
Here it is, the bend in the river.
Why?
Because she was dead.
How come?
Because the cow caught a bullet in her right lung. Fell into the canal, grasping her tit and drowned. Or bled. Hard to say. It was a sloppy job on a moving target. She was going home, waddling, dressed in yellow, drunk like she often was. The ruins are black around her, and she had a yellow leather bag under her arm. She tried to cross the canal, heading home to Grand Couronne or Betancourt, someplace like that, where they build those new bâtiments for the people who flourish in the hell around her, and the ruins.
You shot her.
Someone shot her. Or maybe the cow just fell. My memory is full of holes. All I know is nothing changed. Not in the material base, not in the hegemony. There was no uprising. Just words. The Union fizzled, sogged. Nothing came of it. Nothing.
Edgar didn't keep his part of the deal.
Sputter again. Nothing more.
If you were to testify to this, give the RCM something on Edgar, you could walk.
The lieutenant says in a voice even calmer, as if it were nothing at all.
We would strike everything you've done and process you as a POW. You were in a war. You were on assignment. We could even extradite you to the Samaran People's Republic.
A degenerate worker state. Goat shit. No, thank you. I'm Revacholian. My days are short. I will rot away here, in a moral intern cell. I will not testify to anything.
Come on, just a little. You're buddies.
You could tell me here. It won't be that usable.
I haven't lived and fought for 40 years to end up as a collaborationist. I've heard it. On Channel 8, 40 AM, Radio Revachol, late night. Everyone is a blobber in this world. Everyone betrays everyone. They're all already locked up for betrayal. The best ones, the ones with heart, were slaughtered, trampled.
He looks to the city.
The same old freezing hatred. There is plenty here to work with once he's in custody, and the lieutenant knows it. He gives you a little nod to proceed.
Glad we talked about what?
Okay, composure. Right. Are any of these take any of these take away from composure? Yeah, this does. What adds to composure? That is the question. Composure. And one of you asked me to put on my RCM uniform in its entirety. I don't know, do we even have a full RCM uniform? I don't think so. Oh. Bingo. I don't want to miss another check, dude. Okay, yeah, RCM clothes. We've got the hat. And we've got the patrol cloak. And we've got a jacket. A commander's jacket. But I don't think we've got anything else, right? Well, let's try this again, old timer.
The old man stares despondently at the logs. It's like he's forgotten you're there.
Assess his body language.
What strikes you about this gaunt man is not the stomach pain, or the cough, or the malnutrition. For a man who's spent 44 years hidden in the urban wild.
He's surprisingly okay.
Indeed. He speaks fluidly. His movements are rapid, if erratic. His voice, despite the cough, is there. It is capable of expressing complicated ideas. Above all, he seems animated.
Animated by hatred.
It's a mystery. This animation comes at a cost too. Erratic hand gestures, thought processes cut off like threads, as he just stares at the logs or the reeds. He also suffers mood swings, bubbling to the surface, unconstrained by his nervous system. Great leaps of emotion, from anger to grief, despair.
Wouldn't a foul temper be a byproduct of his life? Could be dementia though.
You've seen demented people before. This feels similar, yet different. When his thoughts move, they are lucid, keen even, not senile.
His life is being paranoid, being angry, spiteful.
Perhaps, but his seems more than that. The inner turmoil takes unexpected turns, as if forced on him in a way. In summary, you sense some underlying neurological disorder.
Mr. Dross, are you okay? How is your memory?
No, I'm not okay. I shit blood, and I'm surrounded by insane people.
He waves his hand, chasing something that's not there.
There it is again, erratic hand motions, bouts of rage, and the stomach thing too, of course.
Hang on. Okay, so I don't know what outfit would be best here. But I'm just gonna go back to empathy. RCM wise, I mean, we have used our RCM stuff before, right? Or have I just never walked around with it? No, I'm gonna go back to the empathy. But I'll keep this on. I'll keep the composure trousers on, actually. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Alright.